The story begins with the introduction of the main character, a young guy named Bai Chi. Oddly enough, his name is the same as the god of murder. One day, Bai Chi was killed by a mysterious man, and it all happened because of one popular game that earned him a ton of fans, Throne of Souls. When the guy opened his eyes, he turned out to be a level 1 player in a level 30 dungeon. He immediately saw many dead people who used to be players. Bai Chi had to face many powerful enemies. For example, one of them is from the category of hidden curiosities, a beast with curved wings of level 25. Go with the leader of the clan of plague beasts of the 30th level with a bloody axe as a mod. And one question arises: how can he be saved? There is only one way out. Develop combat skills, such as, for example, scarlet flames that can defeat the strongest monsters. Become a real hero in a new world, try to survive, and become stronger. And then the second question arises: can Bai Chi become a ruler again? Everything depended only on himself. Finally, the ruler who united the 8 nations descended into Throne of Souls. The system immediately issued a message congratulating the player for being the first hero in the game, and his rewards would be issued soon. Bai Chi was glad that he finally succeeded. He deserves this title. A notification immediately appeared that young Master Hua Xin had entered the stream. Subscribers congratulated him, since he was the first to complete this game. But after a little time, a sharp blade pierced the guy, who, in bewilderment, could not understand what was happening and who killed him. He only heard a voice saying that a bug who imagines himself to be a king cannot atone for his sin, and then he ordered the guy to disappear. Bai Chi remembered the voices of the doctors who said to provide first aid to the bleeding 20-year-old man. The pulse dropped to 0. We urgently need resuscitation. And then the countdown, 3, 2, 1, and discharge. Then again, 3, 2, 1, and bright flashes of light that did not help. Having woken up and stood up sharply, the frightened guy still heard in his head the same countdown of doctors, but there were no them around. The eyes were filled with fear and misunderstanding, as Bai Chi did not understand what was happening to him. He clearly remembered that he had been stabbed, but then he did not understand how he ended up here. Here, looking around, the guy was horrified, realizing that right below him there was a real mountain of human bodies. Sitting on the mountain of corpses, Bai Chi thought that he had gone to hell after death, since it was difficult to explain otherwise. After all, he didn't do anything wrong in his previous life, then why is he in hell? Suddenly the guy wondered who he was. At that moment, his head began to buzz and pound, as if it was going to fall off. This feeling once again made me think about what is happening here. Then Bai Chi was suddenly flooded with memories and remembered his past. The guy's name was Bai Chi. He was 20 years old and worked as a streamer. At first, he was not very popular, but over time, thanks to streams, the number of fans began to grow. Bai Chi played the popular game, Throne of Souls, which many people loved. The game takes place in the Middle Ages, when an alien ship with modern technology suddenly descends into the world. This game is adored for its unique and thoughtful universe, as well as for its excellent art. However, many were put off by the high complexity. Such players began to watch playthroughs of the game on streams, and Bai Chi liked the number of views that viewers were getting. But when the guy had almost reached the top, he was suddenly killed. Then, out of nowhere, a voice came out that told Bai Chi that he had died, but not completely. To be more precise, he was reborn. The guy immediately turned around and asked, "Who said that?" However, the voice seemed familiar to him. Every game ever created represents its own independent world. Player Bai Chi's death activated a special reward, the rebirth key, so he was revived in Throne of Souls. The guy recognized the voice that spoke to him. This was the gaming platform assistant in the application. That's how he realized that he was inside the game. It turns out that his special reward was rebirth, and although he died under strange circumstances, he was given another chance. But if you think about it like that, it's a shame it didn't end up in a game like Memories of Summer Thrill. For what sins was he sent to Souls? It would be better if he just died, so at least he wouldn't suffer. But the assistant said that there is no rebirth key in other games. Bai Chi realized that he was out of luck because he had already seen enough while playing. It's not so easy to get all sorts of goodies in this game. But the system replied that the guy just needs to show what he is capable of. This time, for the title of king, Bai Qi will receive the key to time travel and he will be able to return to his world. Bai Qi then asked why he was not given such a reward in the first place. The game does not have an endless rebirth mechanism, and with such game difficulty, he can die, even because of a stray dog. The assistant replied that endless rebirth is indeed not provided, but the guy already has many achievements on the platform, so he can easily choose a character. But Bai Qi didn't know what to do now. He's not such a crazy fan, so it would be great if the guy could use the equipment of several characters at once. Here, the system added that Bai Qi could also choose an ordinary peaceful player. Bai Qi thought that he could stay away from the most dangerous boss, although he would still have to face disasters. Bai Qi thought that the system was just mocking him and deliberately gave him a peaceful character so that he would only try harder to become a ruler. But the guy can't be fooled anymore. The guy asked if there were any time restrictions on the path to becoming a king. The system responded that there were no limits or penalties. But Bai Qi was determined to make the decision to become an overlord, and naturally agreed. Thus, the contract was signed. The system only added that it hopes that player Bai Qi will sit on the throne again, and then there was a bright flash of light. Immediately after this, a man's voice was heard calling Bai Qi and saying that he was hanging upside down, which surprised the guy very much. Next, the hanging guy doubtfully asked Bai Qi if he had died a couple of days ago. Otherwise, he already thought that the guy was decomposing, but he was alive. Has he really been reborn? The hanging guy's name was Gray. He was a level 21 elf mage and guardian. Gray asked the guy to help them and lower them to the ground before the monsters returned and they needed to run away quickly. Gray was interrupted by Fang Ji, who was a level 22 human warrior and guardian. He shouted that some timid boy would not help them. Didn't Gray see how scared he was? Then the voice of Dagu, a monster cat and level 20 guard, was heard, walking towards the tiger. He said that now neither Princess Mina nor the royal guards matter, because he was tired and already wanted to die. Looking at Princess Mina also hanging upside down and remembering the Kingdom of Stars, Bai Qi realized that this was very familiar to him. And then it dawned on the guy that he saw those heroes that you just don't meet right away, and the cave doesn't look like a spawn place for newbies. Bai Qi was scared to even think about it, especially if he had chosen a peaceful role, he would not have died so soon. The guy realized that he was in a crying cave, where characters from levels 20 to 30 go, but Bai Qi was level 1, and he was just a person with an unselected class. This is just some kind of hell. Rebirth. Both the beginning and the end. Is it possible that Bai Qi, who chose the path of the king, immediately faced death? Something strange was happening, and the entire storyline was disrupted, since the guy was first supposed to appear in the village of Anicap for players from levels 1 to 10. He would then go on missions into the burnt jungle for levels 10 to 20. And only then would I go into the dungeon for level 20-30, into the Cave of Weeping, to save the princess, her guards, and escape. But first, you need to choose a class and get out of here. Next, Bai Qi asked the system to activate class selection, after which the system received the request and class selection was activated. Now, Bai Qi's player had to choose a class. There were several options. The Brave Warrior, a melee class, has a long sword and a powerful shield, and has an ideal balance of attack and defense. Wood Mage, ranged class, capable of using spells and potions, the perfect combination of attack and healing. Assassin, a class that combines ranged and melee combat, uses daggers and throwing knives, the perfect combination of fast attack and agility. Elemental Master, a class that combines ranged and melee combat, uses a staff and a bow, able to control the power of natural elements. An Outcast, a despised class with no characteristics, possesses only rags and a baton, and this, unfortunately, was about Bai Qi. Then why ask at all? The guy's choice is the same as the first time, an outcast. The system was surprised when the guy chose the weakest character. The guy explained that choosing a class affects survival at the beginning of the game, and the rogue class is only difficult at the beginning. Despite the high complexity, this class is the most convenient. It also has a hidden feature. You can get achievements by constantly changing classes. In this case, you don't have to go through special missions. Baichi completed the game thanks to the fact that he received all the achievements and unlocked all the quests, including the main quest, Survive and Reach the Exit from the Cave of Weeping, with a reward of 1 unlock point. Unlock 25% of items in the current player's inventory randomly without level restrictions. Or unlock a new game account along with 25% of your inventory, items plus skills. But for Baichi, the main thing was to get out of here as quickly as possible. So, raising his bat, he began to rise to the voices of the guards, who asked if he had come to his senses. Gray pointed the guy to the rope and told the guy to untie it so everyone could get out. The others also began to ask Baichi to untie them quickly, but the guy stared at the knots, wondering if the guards knew what the consequences would be. But he could not refuse the guards, so he cut the ropes and freed them, for which he heard words of gratitude from them. Gray confidently said that if it weren't for Baichi, they would still be hanging there, and the fat beast Dagu said that it would be better if he hung there and died calmly, meowing at the end of the phrase. But Fangji, holding the princess in his arms, told Gray that now was not the time to be nice, and he needed to bring the girl to her senses. Gray immediately appeared next to him and said that he was here, and there was no need to sulk at him, when suddenly the tip of a weapon flew at the guard. The guy was immediately thrown back with such force that the stone wall cracked from Gray's strong blow against it. The leader of a level 30 clan of plague beasts appeared in front of the guards, holding a bloody axe in his hand, and saying that it was better for dinner not to stick his head out too much. Looking at the leader of the plague beast clan, Fangji asked where he came from with horror and anger, while Dagu simply looked at the monster with an intense gaze. Screaming, or rather growling, the monster raised his bloody axe threateningly. Baichi immediately remembered that if he had already decided to escape, he would have to face the boss of the dungeon. This battle is extremely difficult, so everyone must give it their all. But if Baichi enters into battle without the skills and equipment with this monster, he will doom himself to certain death. Therefore, you need to go to the cave alone to unlock your account. Then you can think about whether it's worth returning to save them. They are important NPS, but survival comes first now. Then the guy turned around and began to walk away under the indignant screams of the guards, who asked why the kid wasn't helping them. Does he really want to run away alone? Gray asked Baichi if he really thought he could get out of here alone. Then Fangji intervened, saying that he knew that it was not worth wasting time on him because he was just a stupid and cowardly outcast. After thinking, Baichi understood that no one would believe him anyway, but soon they themselves would understand everything, and now is almost the time for the denouement of events. Then a level 5 plague beast cub appeared on the horizon, looking and not quite understanding who to attack. Baichi appeared right in front of him, holding a bat in his hand and preparing to repel the attack. The cub growled loudly and rushed towards the guy, while the other guards laughed and said that although this was a weak enemy, a first-level outcast had no chance against this monster. While the cub of the plague beast ran towards Baichi, the guy understood that a fight was inevitable in any case. It will be difficult to defeat a level 5 monster. The monster's blow flew straight at the guy, but he deftly and successfully dodged, keeping all his HP intact. The monster's second blow did not take long to arrive, but Baichi dodged the blow just as confidently and calmly. Fangji, surprised to notice that the guy dodged twice, thought that he was just lucky, and Gray added that the timing was very precise. Dagu said that Baichi is not that simple. Dodging once again, Baichi noticed that the connection between his body and mind was perfect. Despite the lack of equipment, the guy still had enough experience. Suddenly, the monster launched a new attack, throwing a bomb with a lit fuse at Baichi. Immediately, there was a loud explosion with a huge emission of light from a bright flash. It seemed that this was the end, and it was impossible to get out. But then Baichi appeared right out of the fire and smoke and swung his wooden bat at the monster, who clearly did not expect this. With the thought that it was time to shred this monster, the guy hit the monster in the face with his bat with all his strength, causing him some damage, and he even recoiled from the force of the blow. Pointing his bat at the cub of the plague beast, the guy said that this was the end, and there was one last blow left. The cub's HP was almost 0, but he did not give up, and growling, attacked the guy. Baichi shouted "die" to him and dealt a final crushing blow to the monster. Gray was surprised that this kid was able to kill a level 5 monster without taking damage, even with a club. Dagu was jealous of the killed monster, and Fangji admitted that he had underestimated the guy. Baichi understood that he could dodge the blows thanks to his experience, but he would not be able to catch up with the monster's level so quickly. But since he has already chosen the path of an outcast, he needs to adapt. Player Baichi defeated a level 5 cub and received 100 spirit points, 2 gold coins, and a broken club with attack power +5. He realized that his characteristics were terrible, and there were 900 points left before the update. While the guy was leaving, he heard the voices of the guys hanging upside down, who said that he was stupid, because the more people, the higher the chances of getting out alive. But Baichi didn't even listen. The princess of the Kingdom of Stars of level 12, Mina, told Gray not to bother the guy, because if they cannot get out on their own, then they are destined to die. No one noticed when the princess woke up, but she said that she considered the guy's decision reasonable because he was only level 1 and told him to be careful since there was a thin line between life and death. Mina, even in such situations, maintaining rationality, truly deserves the title of princess. The guy said that he has his own plan, but even if he says that he will come back to save them all, they will not believe him. These words shocked the guards. Fangji thought that the guy was mocking them, and Mina said that if he had so much strength to swear, then he better figure out how to get them out. Fangji agreed with the princess, and Baichi thought that according to the plot, they would find a way to escape without his help, but then he would miss out on the achievements associated with Princess Mina. Their salvation depends on whether Baichi can get out on his own. They are important, but now his salvation comes first. The Cave of Weeping is the last dungeon of the first chapter. There are many secret items here. To collect them, Baichi searched every corner in the past, so the location is familiar to him. Baichi, hiding behind a stone from the monster, thought that he needed to save the main character. Then the guy heard strange sounds coming from the jug. The voice asked, "Who is there?" And he added that a person can come up, because he is probably wondering why the bowl talks from the inside. A voice from the bowl said that he went into the dungeon for treasure, but hid here from monsters, and then accidentally got stuck, so let the man just break the cup and set him free. Baichi immediately swung and used his bat to smash the bowl, from which a satisfied voice was heard. A man of an unknown class, Ray's, level 27, came out of the bowl, who was surprised that he was saved by someone of the first level, and said that he was now in Baichi's debt and could help with any mission. The guy immediately said that his friend was captured by monsters and he wants to save him, but is too weak. Lucci said that he was brave, but weak, so the guy was lucky to meet him and told him to show the way. While leaving the cave, Baichi and Reyes noticed a huge monster coming straight towards them. It was an adult level 18 plague beast, which immediately swung its huge hammer at the guys, and Lucci was suddenly surprised to smell a familiar smell, after which he immediately attacked the monster, delivering a strong blow while shouting that it was this monster that locked him in the bowl. But Lucci hurried and got hit in the arm with a hammer, which lowered his HP. But Lucci's retaliatory strike was not long in coming and hit the monster right in the belly with a sharp sword, accompanied by the guy's vengeful cries. And then, jumping up, he cut off the monster's head, destroying it. Baichi told Mr. Lucci that it was great, but he replied that if he were a weakling, he would not even be able to enter the cave. Soon Lucci, approaching the cliff, said that he heard the voice of his friend and that he needed to be rescued quickly. Key behind him. Standing on the edge of a cliff, the guy said that he needed to save Lucci's friend as soon as possible, but thought to himself that it would be easy. But suddenly, Ray said that there was one quick way, and with all his might, he kicked Baichi in the back and he flew straight to the cliff. Stumbling, the guy began to fall screaming to the bottom of the cliff, not understanding why his partner did this. But Lucci said he's back to his old ways, because when he sees someone on the edge of a cliff, he just can't help but push them. Baichi saved him, but he was reborn, and such people are destined to receive punishment.
Beaming from the bottom of the cliff, Baichi asked Lucci how he realized that he was reborn, and Lucci, in turn, was surprised that after such a fall, the guy remained alive.
Baichi replied that if he had jumped on his own, he would have died, but he was pushed, so he was fine. But even though he didn't die, he felt pain all over his body, but, thank the gods, he can pick up equipment here. Received 1 blood vessel and 1 sacred stone fragment. Baichi knew that the beams often pushed players into the abyss, but this could be used to their advantage. In the abyss, Baichi drank a new rebirth mechanism. After this, his HP was completely restored, and the system reported that the reborn are people who have risen from the dead. The news of the blocked information surprised Baichi. Apparently, such important information will not be disclosed so easily. Therefore, you need to be careful with the title of Reborn. But now there is no need to worry about it. Holding the found fragment of the sacred stone in his hand, which glowed like a lantern with a green light, Baichi moved forward. A huge gate suddenly appeared in front of him. This was the hidden location of the Cave of Weeping, Lost Ruins. The guy understood that there were no monsters behind him, but it was still quite dangerous here. Baichi has already completed all levels of Ithrone of Soulsy and received all the achievements, so he knew almost everything he knew about this world. Now players choose the path to adventure in the open world. In the center of the world called Pascalo, there is a huge crystal, which is called the World of Souls. Under his protection, the world was full of life until one day a spaceship appeared, a drone of the deep void. The ship hovered directly over the central city, terrifying the residents. It was clear that this ship was broken. Coincidentally, the ship crashed right next to the crystal, and the world was destroyed. Although the crystal was broken, life continued, and new civilizations appeared. And the place where Baichi is now located is one of the ruins of an underground civilization. The guy knew that deep under the Wailing cave, there was an underground river. He needs to get to the exit alive, but no one specified which exit he should get out through, so this is his chance. But the chance of dying here is much higher than on the main path, since you need to very accurately determine the location of the ledges in the tunnel, filled with sharp spikes. One unsuccessful jump, and the guy will die. But he's been close to death many times before, so it's worth a try. Getting to the bottom should not be a problem for Baichi. He began to cope well with all the sharp protrusions. The lower you go, the narrower the ledges are, so you need to be even more careful. Although Baichi remembers the location of each ledge, he must not let his guard down. Then the guy's foot slipped on one of the sharp spikes and flew forward. But Baichi was not at a loss, realizing that he needed to maintain balance, and raised his hands up. Standing on the ledge and looking down, Baichi came to his senses as he almost fell. He covered almost the entire distance. Baichi said that he thought he was almost at the bottom, but then an unfamiliar voice was heard behind him, asking if the exit was really downstairs. Baichi reacted instantly and wanted to turn his head to see the owner of a voice suddenly appearing out of nowhere. But as soon as the guy turned and asked who it was, the person behind him jumped high and far away, right from behind Baichi. Seeing the stranger doing a somersault in the air, Baichi realized that he was too strong and asked who he was. It was Harvey, level 30, elemental master. He was surprised that a level 1 outcast was so hot-tempered and then asked if he scared the guy. Probably shouldn't have appeared from behind so suddenly. And then, baring his teeth, Harvey added that he should have immediately stabbed the guy in the heart. Surprised, Baichi shouted, "Who is this guy, and what is he doing here?" And then he suddenly remembered that his enemy was the same corpse from the abyss. Could Harvey also be reborn? But Baichi did not have time to express his assumptions, as Harvey, flying into the air, said that the guy was slow-witted, although he even felt sorry for him, since Baichi was reborn into a level 1 outcast, and he into a level 28 elemental master. And now, Harvey, who instantly found himself behind Baichi's back, doesn't even want to waste time and effort on killing such a player. But he too, sharply, imperceptibly, and quickly, wounded the indignant guy, whose HP dropped by half. The blow caused paralysis and loss of strength. Falling to his knees in pain, Bai Chi asked why Harvey did this. He didn't do anything to him. Moreover, they are both reborn and must help each other. But Harvey just laughed. And then he added that the main enemy of the reincarnated is another reincarnated. But Harvey thought that Bai Chi had some kind of ability, but it turned out that the guy didn't even know the most basic things. Clutching his bleeding wound, Bai Chi thrust his baton forward, brazenly asking, "Does Harvey really think he will believe this nonsense?" And he sent him away. Chuckling, Harvey said that it was no surprise that a level 1 outcast didn't understand anything, but since the guy showed the way, Harvey won't kill him. And then telling Bai Chi to fight for his life, he jumped and flew into the air. Flying away under the force of the jump, Harvey shouted to Bai Chi that if he was lucky enough to survive, then let the guy take revenge on him, and laughed loudly. Tired and wounded, Bai Chi asked the system what other secrets it was hiding from him. But the system responded that nothing was intentionally hidden, but the player himself must independently reveal the hidden data. Thanks to special circumstances, the player discovered some information about the reborn. 1. The reborn are considered evil heretics and are hated by everyone in the world. 2. Reborn are people who have found a second life, but they can have different classes. Those reincarnated randomly transform into creatures of different races, classes, and levels. Low-level degenerates are easily identified as strong at first glance. Each reborn's class contains unique information about the world. The exception is the rogue class. Falling into the abyss, Bai Chi thought that he was already almost dead. So why did he need all this information? World of Throne of Souls is not that simple. But at the last moment, he decides that he needs to fight for life and the chance given to him. Then he grabs the ledges with his hand, jumping from one to another. Then he fell on one of the sharp ledges, clinging to it with his hands and screaming in pain. And only one thought was spinning in his head: he should not let go of his hands. He finally has a chance to be reborn, so he can't miss it, because the guy is already almost at the bottom. Pulling himself up with his arms and stretching the large bloody wound, Bai Chi decided for himself that he must endure any pain, and this was his last oath. So he flew towards the ground, hitting the edges of the walls, reducing the speed of his fall. But this did not make it any easier, especially when the guy reached the bottom. Having hit the hard ground and having lost a lot of vitality, the guy laughed, realizing that he had kept his promise to himself, but there were 10 meters left to the exit, and he had to crawl. But then something alerted him, especially a strange smell and sound, which seemed familiar to him and evoked a feeling of fear and anxiety. Turning around, Bai Chi saw a huge beast with curved fangs of level 25, which was clearly unhappy at being disturbed. But there weren't supposed to be monsters in this place. A huge beast with fangs and many eyes looked at Bai Chi, who, trying to crawl away, did not understand where this monster came from, because he definitely remembers that there should be no danger here. It was necessary to take advantage of the monster's slowness and crawl to the exit as quickly as possible. But the monster began to separate, turning into a bunch of small, one-eyed monsters. Bai Chi was surprised at how quickly the monsters accelerated. This simply cannot be, and the monster itself should not be here. It is very strange that he is now surrounded by monsters. They were creeping up from all sides, and, although they looked harmless, for the guy their approach meant only one thing: death. Then Bai Chi suddenly realized that this could be some kind of setup. Was it really Harvey, who could have deliberately lured monsters here in order to prevent the guy from getting to the exit? And in general, before the appearance of this strange reborn, everything was under control, and now, apparently, all he can do is die. The monsters flew at the guy from all sides, opening their mouths, baring their fangs, and sticking out long tongues. But they should not underestimate an experienced player, because not only strength plays a big role. But this time, Bai Chi fell straight into the Green River, which became like this due to a mutation and into which monsters began to crawl, who pushed him there. A scream escaped from the guy's mouth. He understood that due to mutations, the river had turned into real acid, which could eat all living things. Bai Qi was in hellish pain, feeling his body burning, but he didn't want to give up so easily. This is the only way to survive. The guy's clothes protected him at least a little from the acid, but this acid is fatal to the monster, so they won't get close to it. Therefore, Bai Qi must crawl to the exit at any cost, directly along the river from the acid burning his skin, enduring severe pain. If the guy gets out, then he will finally have a chance to start over, because he doesn't want to end up the same way as in his previous life. He's had enough. Bai Qi was born in a poor area and always thought that if he got into a good city school, he could change his life, so the guy left home. He worked as a dishwasher and was constantly being told that he worked slowly. He was constantly asked why he had so many dirty dishes and was told to wash it quickly or get out. They also said that he disturbs everyone's sleep at night because he shines a flashlight into a book. But despite the fact that he is constantly having a hard time because of work or study, he would never give up because he had hope. Fortunately, the guy was accepted into the university of his dreams, but his mother was diagnosed with a serious illness, and therefore Bai Qi's world collapsed, and all his work was in vain. He tried to earn or borrow more money and forgot about his studies, but still could not save his mother. When he worked as a delivery man, there were customers who were not happy that the guy was delayed, although Bai Qi said that it was raining outside and he himself was soaked to the skin. Then part-time work and streaming became Bai Qi's whole life, and although there was nothing special in the streams, his popularity skyrocketed. But being at the very top, the guy suddenly died. It's not that death bothered Bai Qi, but he definitely didn't want to repeat it, because he was reborn into a game that he knows very well. And although the guy was unlucky from the very beginning of his journey in the game, he decided for himself that he would never die. Rising above the acid river, Bai Qi swung his leg towards the monsters, fighting them off, and rushed forward. With the last of his strength, he ran upstairs to the exit, surrounded by monsters chasing him and biting him right on the acid, trying to get to his goal as quickly as possible. First, Bai Qi must survive, and then a system notification appeared saying that Bai Qi's player had successfully left the executioner's cave and received 1 point, so now he can make a choice. Unlock 25% of items from your previous inventory, or randomly unlock a new game account, and 25% of your inventory, items plus skills. At this moment, the monsters had already surrounded the guy from all sides, but suddenly a bright green light began to emit from his body, growing with every second. Bai Qi chose the first option, and now 25% of the inventory is open. He immediately used the essence of the holy blood, a divine level item, restoring blood by 100%. Level up. Next, Bai Qi put on a special bloodthirsty shadow set, a hidden and professional killer set that significantly increases agility and intelligence. Special effect, shadow bite. And then the guy took the scarlet death dagger, whose double blade is as exquisite as blood, the best weapon for an assassin, high speed and damage, special combat skill, scarlet flame. The green light turned into a flash that scattered the monsters away from the guy in different directions. The explosion created large clouds of dust, but it didn't matter because the end of all torment had finally come. From the dust arose the image of a warrior in strong armor and good weapons, the level of which was according to the first level, but in strength it was like the 30th. This is what a reborn should look like. But the monsters that remained alive continued to attack Bai Qi, their fanged mouths open. But this was no longer a problem for the guy, who confidently moved towards them. He moved quickly and swiftly, destroying every monster in his path. Qi thought to himself that it was better to take the inventory from the old account than to risk taking a new profile, and even though he took only 25%, it's enough for him for now, because these are top-level items. Leaving the frightened monsters behind and picking up his bloody sword, Bai Qi headed forward, realizing that his story was just beginning. But the monsters did not want to let the guy go just like that, and began to stick together into one big monster. It appeared behind Bai Qi and began to growl loudly, intending to attack. But the guy didn't even turn around, asking why it was so loud. He knows that the monster is in a hurry to die, but not so soon. Then a new system notification appeared, saying that the hidden mission had been updated and now you need to kill the beast with curved fangs, and if everything works out, the player receives 3 times more soul points. Having crossed them, the guy quickly looked forward, saying that he was waiting for this mission, after which he separated the blades and used his new fighting skill, Scarlet Flame, asking the monsters if they were ready to turn into ashes during a real battle. The next second, the warrior abruptly jumped up and rushed towards the enemy. He knew that his real fight with him was just beginning. The guy dealt one crushing blow to the monster, who was surprised by the strength of the guy with the first level. Baichi clearly knew what the monster would do next, and understood that if he was fast enough, he could easily deal with it. Having cut the monster's belly with a blade, the guy said that he would pay heavily for the suffering that he caused him. The guy began to inflict cut after cut on the monster, causing him excruciating pain, an effect caused by the fighting skills of the killer, whose deep cut of the blade causes severe pain. As a result of the attack, the monster received a scarlet burn, the effect of a scarlet flame that causes an explosion, the damage from which lasts 15 seconds. Many red blades were pierced from inside the monster and burst out, causing the monster to roar loudly in pain. Looking at the enemy, Baichi saw that he was in pain and was glad that he could now relieve him of his suffering. The warrior then used the power of shadow absorption, the assassin's ultimate combat skill, with which the player can create combat clones that will focus on the target. Clones are immune to all physical and magical attacks for 5 seconds. Thus, the impact on the monster of such power led to the fact that he no longer had a chance to win. The clones pounced on the enemy and began to destroy him each with their own strength, which inevitably created a very powerful blow. At the end, a new notification appeared that player Baichi had killed a level 25 rare beast, so the mission was completed. As a result, the player receives a reward of 1,800 soul points, and also received the achievement, "Sometimes a weak light is stronger than a raging fire," and then the level increased by 8 times. Leveling up in this game is very difficult. One day, Baichi briefly outlined the rules for obtaining soul points and leveling up. His audience took it well, but there were also haters who said that the guy needs to study. In his own way, he received 108 gold coins, 2 dirty crystal vessels, and a prayer, piercing, suffering. It was known that a dirty crystal vessel restores 30% of the blood. Prayer creates sharp blades that pierce space, and to activate which you need to kneel in a prayer position. This ability could be used 3 times. This prayer is very important. The guy tried to get this skill 30 times already, and in this life, he appeared after the first attempt. Then Baichi chose the assassin class, so agility stats are most important to him. Baichi then opened the inventory, wanting to look at other items, most of which were potions and other additional items. This is strange, since the guy had a lot of professional kits and cool weapons, so apparently he opened a small part of his inventory. But in addition to the killer, he unlocked 2 more sets. The Bloody Dragon armor set can be used by those with strength above 80. Heavy armor of the highest grade gives stamina that ordinary people cannot control. Spine sword. A dragon whose spine has been turned into a sword knows what true pain is. Only the strongest dragon sword can pierce the indestructible skin. Prophet of the starry sky. Look up and admire, look down and contemplate the prophecy. The magic set can be equipped by those with intelligence above 100. The Deep Space Beacon is a top-notch staff made from golden meteorites. Although Baichi cannot use the sets now, other unlocked items will help you survive the first time. Standing in thought, the guy thought about whether he should save Princess Mina, or is it better to leave? For all he knew, he could do just fine on his own, but he doesn't know much about the reborn. For example, how much has the game changed due to the presence of reborns in it who can change the course of events? Are there other innovations that can change the running settings? So far, this was all unknown. Baichi knew little and understood that it was better not to take risks alone. So it's better to join Princess Mina. According to the plot, the princess's minions will help the guy in the future. And even if these henchmen strayed from the plan and betrayed him, he would still be able to gain support for a while. Therefore, deciding to help the princess, the hero headed back towards his goal. He walked through the cave, leaving behind him many killed monsters, which kept flying and flying at him, but the guy fought back. Here again, 2 huge monsters with strong weapons approached him, growling and trying to destroy Baichi. But he was not at a loss, and used the power of piercing suffering, instantly destroying the monsters with sharp red thorns. Bai Qi had almost gotten rid of the monsters on the main path, leaving only the boss. For the guy's achievements, the system congratulated him on his promotion to level 10. Now, he will be able to choose with whom to cooperate and with whom to quarrel. The reputation system as a feature was also not present in the game before. After opening Princess Mina's details, Bai Qi saw that her reputation was a passing enemy, as the guy's behavior made the princess hostile. Seeing this, Bai Qi thought about the kind words they used to discuss him. In fact, Fang Ji was angry and said that the level 1 outcast was some kind of fool for leaving them to die. Gray added that all the reincarnated think only of themselves. Dagu said that death is not such a bad outcome. Then Mina's voice was heard, who said that stop discussing nonsense, since their skills are simply inferior to others, so the guy left them. And as the team leader, the princess took full responsibility. Gray immediately said that the princess was not to blame, since they had all sworn allegiance to her long ago. Fang Ji added that they were not wailing because of death, but because of how their place to restore the country would sink into oblivion because of some stupid outcast. When everyone was about to confirm this, suddenly sharp spinning blades cut their ropes in flight. The whole company immediately began to fall to the ground upside down, shouting that they needed to protect the princess. Dagu was able to land on his paws, since there's a reason he's half cat. The princess fell straight towards Fang Jia. One gray fell to the ground and hit the hard stone floor hard. Dagu said sadly that it was a pity that he didn't die again, but they slept him. House immediately asked the princess if she was okay, and she replied that everything was fine. Standing up, Gray said that he didn't understand. Were they rescued, or were they trying to kill them? Then a male figure appeared from the shadows and told them not to be so nervous, because he was just taking a little revenge for the name-calling. All the guards and the princess immediately raised their heads in surprise, recognizing the familiar voice. Taking off his hood, Bai Qi asked if they were surprised. After all, he said that he would return to save them. True, the boss will be here in a minute, so they don't have much time. Upon recognizing the reincarnated rogue guy, everyone was very surprised. Bai Qi came to save the guards, and they asked him what he had saved from the approaching boss and whether he was really going to help them. Princess Mina told Bai Qi that she was grateful because they would have hung there until they died, to which Bai Qi replied that it was not the time for gratitude because in 40 seconds a disaster would begin, so they needed to run. Fang Ji ordered to watch his tone, because for such an attitude towards the princess, he could deprive Bai Qi of his head, and Gray was surprised that the guy rose to level 10 in just half a day. Dagu said with a smile that this scoundrel was not so bad. Bai Qi said that even if he beat him, he wouldn't care, because without him, they would be too weak to cope with the boss, and they had no chance of winning, and in response, they threatened to go home. Mina, holding her spear in combat readiness, stopped Fang Jia, because now was not the time for arguments, and ordered everyone to prepare for battle. All the guards listened to the princess and prepared for battle, and Mina said that she still had many questions, but she would never miss a glimmer of hope. Bai Qi happily reflected that Princess Mina had not changed much, and the hostility of her guards was caused only by his actions, and not by the fact that he was reincarnated. Next, Bai Qi, saying that there were 10 seconds left, launched the disc into the air. It was a lightning trap and had a property similar to an electric shock. Bai Qi, with thoughts about the beginning of the first part of the battle, asked to give him 3 minutes and for the guards to hold on, and in response, he shouted about what he was planning to do for 3 whole minutes. At this time, the monster is already flying at them with all its power and high speed, so much so that sparks of light come from it. With a powerful jump, the monster flew into the ground in the middle of the guards, and from this landing a blast wave spread out to the sides, and then the monster added that the prey should not stick its head out too much. The leader of the clan of plague beasts, Bloody Axe level 30, Modik, standing in a menacing stance, asked where they were constantly trying to escape and what would personally slaughter them. The boss took a step and stepped right on the disc thrown by Bai Qi and cried out from the pain received by the electric discharge. Modik was completely captured by the thunderstorm trap, and Fang Ji commented that the boss had fallen into the boy's trap and was surprised to not understand how he knew where the monster would appear. It was further said that you shouldn't think about it now, because you need to focus on the boss, and the guards began to attack him all together, thereby delaying him. Surrounded by Modik, he hit Fang Ji, who was surprised at such strength and understood that he would suffer even if he tried to block the blow, and now Fang Ji lost a third of his health. Modik felt the attack and looked up, and there arrows were rapidly flying at him, leaving behind flashes of light. But he simply repelled with a menacing look all the attacks and arrows and attacks of magical vines. For him, it was just childish babble. Further, Modik could not stand it, and said that if they want to wave normally, then they must show everything they are capable of. Otherwise, they will only tease with these useless attacks. Modik swung his axe in a circle, repelling all attacks at once, and told the guards not to even dream of stopping him. He thought that they were hiding and told them to run like cowardly rats, and struck at random, almost hitting Fang Jia, who fell to the ground. Modik promised to torture them, because their screams are the best delight for the ears, and then used the ability 4 bursts and attacked in all directions at once, spinning like a fiery whirlwind. The princess put a protective barrier on everyone, and Gray was afraid, because there were so many blows, and they could not be avoided, and he wondered where the boy had gone, and Fang Ji said to forget about him, especially since the princess soon ran out of strength. The princess supported the magic circle with all her strength, and asked not to pay attention to her, but simply try to fight back. Modik noticed the princess as the tastiest one, and started with her, swinging his axe straight at Princess Mina as he walked. Fang Ji protected the princess with himself, warning her of the danger, and Modik hit Fang Zia's shield with an axe, which made the princess very frightened. The joyful Modik feigned pity for him, and added with a laugh that he would see how long he could hold out. And at that moment, Modik suddenly felt such pain that his left eye fell out. The boss turned around and asked who caused him such damage, to which Bai Chi replied that he just peppered his head a little. The acid of the river Styx was used. The more acid, the longer the effect of the toxin. The angry Modik did not like that someone dared to mock his preferences, and made a blow to Bai Chi, but fell into the void, and the guy himself had already crushed the boss's head. The acid dispersed, and Modik realized that it was the acid of the river Styx, and asked the guy how he knew that it was fatal for plague animals, and the boss's health was decreasing with this pain. Modik screamed, and angry, began to strike in all directions, while saying that how dare some person look down on him. The guards began to realize that the boss had lost his temper because of the acid, so this was their chance, and they needed to deal with him, and from Modik, the ground began to crack, from under which a red light was coming out. The boss went crazy, and the guards realized that there was no need to go there yet, and bodies scattered from Modik in all directions. These bodies were none other than the dead, with terrible faces, skinny bodies, and bright red eyes. The battle moved into the second stage, and these dead people turned out to be Modik's reincarnation of the dead ability, and the guards were surprised how, after such damage, the boss was still able to control the dead. Bai Chi asked the guards to stop the dead, and he would deal with the boss himself, which resulted in condemnation that he was going to handle it himself. Or maybe he wanted to go to the next world. All the guards together began to resist the dead and lined up so that not a single dead person could pass by them. Modik noticed that Bai Chi approached him and was surprised at the courage of the newcomer, that he climbed on him alone and asked him to show his trump cards because he was used to pain. Looking purposefully at the boss, Bai Chi understood that Modik was recovering very quickly, and the acid would take another minute to work, and according to the plan, Princess Mina would be fine unless he died. Modik incomprehensibly asked why the guy was thinking so much, because he would have been better off thinking about how to run away before he turned him into minced meat. Bai Chi judged the minced meat to be an interesting death, and rushed into battle with his 2 swords in his hands, using the Scarlet Flame ability. Making a quick dash that left sparks behind him, Bai Chi was ready to strike and added that such an interesting death would be for Modika. The guy recalled how the monster threatened him with death in the game. He said that the guy was just a lamb that would be mercilessly torn into pieces and only bones would remain. He is like minced meat in the hands of a cook, from which you can mold anything you want. In general, the boss of the Cave of Crying, Madik is known for his impenetrable skin and rough flesh, which caused Bai Chi to die more than 30 times in the game. Swooping down on the guy, the boss shouted, "How dare food rebel in front of him?" She with his weapon, but he deftly dodged, which greatly surprised the monster. Looking at the monster, the guy thought that he was fast, and his weapon easily deals damage. At her current health level, Bai Chi can only withstand 2 attacks, but the guy's dexterity is quite high. The boss, waving his weapon, asked whether Bai Chi was going to kill him. Otherwise, he was only dodging for now. Is he really so confident because of his speed? Let this coward better look him in the eye. Bai Chi once again deftly dodged the stone spikes thrown at him. Princess Mina at this time thought that Bai Chi managed to perfectly evade all the boss's attacks, which means he perfectly determines the timing of the attack and the attack range when dodging. This means that this person is a professional. The boss, whose life was shortened by the poison, said that he sees the tricks of the guy who thinks that he will constantly dodge and use poison, but this will not help him deal with the boss, only if just a little. Then the third stage of the battle began. The monster raised its weapon upward, gathering enormous energy, saying that now they will see which of them will die first. Further, directing energy towards the warrior, the boss said that he could not hide from his bloody dance. The blow caused damage to the guy, while the monster laughed. But Bai Chi knew that in the third stage, the attack range would increase significantly, making it difficult to evade, so even a light hit could cause damage. But, looking slyly and confidently at the monster, the guy said that this was just what he was waiting for. Fangji, watching the battle, said that even if Bai Chi managed to dodge, he was still doomed. Turning to Gray, Fangji added that he would leave the dead to him, and he himself should prepare for the battle with the boss. At this time, the monster, swinging at Bai Chi, said that this blow would be the last blow for the guy. But Bai Chi, to the monster's surprise, was again able to evade the Tao quickly, as if he had disappeared from sight. A second later, the guy was already above the boss and used the power of the shadow bite. The monster was surprised, thinking that Bai Chi had teleported, and the guy thought to himself that in the past he tried to distance himself to avoid an attack, but in the end he died. And now the key to victory is close combat. Thus, Bai Chi dealt a powerful blow to the monster from close. At the third stage, the boss's attack speed slows down, so you can use the shadow sting to enter a certain radius. Then take a couple of hits, and then everyone will see who else will lose to whom. From the pain received from the blow, the monster screamed, indignantly speaking about why the guy constantly hits him in the back. The monster's standard of living at this moment practically dropped to 0. Surprised, Gray asked why the boss was screaming. Gray also asked in surprise, "Does this fool really want to die? After all, this will happen if the guy gets hit from this distance." Dagu also noticed in surprise that Bai Chi had gotten ahead of the boss's weakness. But the monster did not give up and angrily struck Bai Chi, who still managed to dodge, but received another small damage. But it was a cunning plan, because after the monster's attack, Bai Chi attacked him with his knives. And then the guy's shadow clones began to attack the monster from all sides, cutting him to pieces with their weapons. But the monster, waving his weapon, drove all the attackers away from him, saying that he had had enough, since he did not think that some kind of minced meat would bring him to such a state. Now he is forced to use a special item. The monster took out a rune that sucks blood. It was an imitation of equipment from deep space. Using the rune, you can absorb blood from the enemy's body in order to restore your health. The monster began to suck energy from the dead and said that soon he would recover and tear Bai Chi into pieces. The fact that the monster was actually recovering unpleasantly surprised everyone. Looking at the boss, Bai Chi thought that he should not have such a skill, and why do new threes appear during the battle? Having recovered, the monster used the power of an insurmountable barrier that surrounded it, cutting it off from the outside world, which facilitated unhindered healing. But then the effect of the skill was suddenly interrupted. The culprit for this was Princess Mina, who said that there is no need to worry, since this is just an imitation of space equipment that even her spells will penetrate. And then she ordered everyone to focus on the boss. Angry, the monster attacked the princess, accusing her of ruining his plans and saying that he should have killed her right away. The guards, surrounded by the dead, looked at this in horror because they realized that they were too late and would not be able to protect the princess. But then Bai Chi suddenly appeared in front of the girl, reflecting a powerful blow from the monster towards the princess and, as a result, losing most of his life. Mina, seeing this, immediately said that she was sorry that Bai Chi had lost so much life. But Bai Chi said that there was no need to apologize, since it was his own fault that he was distracted and put everyone in a dangerous position, and he himself has already improved his life a little with the help of his materials. The monster angrily called Bai Chi a stubborn sheep and asked how long he was going to get on his nerves, and then he told the guy threateningly that he would kill him. But Bai Chi, with the frightened but brave princess standing behind him, said that it was time to move forward, since this blow would decide everything. The monster looked at the princess in fear, realizing that something was wrong, as she looked very dangerous, but it feels like the guy's blood is even stronger. Turning around, the monster rushed towards the leak, saying that today he would spare them. By this, he surprised everyone very much, since his actions were as unexpected as possible. All the dead around instantly fell to the ground, stopping moving and attacking. Running up to the princess, Fang Ji apologized to her for being late to help her, but the girl replied that everything was fine, because the main thing was that they were all alive, and the rest was not important. But suddenly the voice of Bai Chi was heard, who said that one should not relax, since this was not all, and rushed after the boss. The princess tried to stop him, saying that now they had better get out of here as quickly as possible. But Bai Chi told her that he had his own plans and quickly ran towards the monster. The guy caught up with the boss and used the killer shadow stance skill, and again the shadow clones attacked the boss, starting to finish him off. Bai Chi firmly believed that the boss must die, striking him blow after blow. Eventually the monster's life came to an end, and it was destroyed, causing Bai Chi to rise in level. The guy understood that if they let the boss escape, then everything would end sadly, and so all the guards were able to increase their level by 1, Fang Ji up to 21, Dagu up to 23, Gray up to 22, and Mina up to 13. For the boss battle, Bai Chi received 320 gold coins and 15,000 soul points, and then his level increased by 2 and became 12th. And now that the main test in the cave had been completed, it was possible to catch my breath. Thus, the player Bai Chi received a bloody dance of rage with an axe. The battle axe can be used with 2 hands, a sharp battle axe soaked in blood and flesh. Owning it will easily drive you crazy thanks to its unique skill. Necromancy. Rather be grateful for your second life, even though you don't look smart. Skill book. Updated. Mastery of skills allows you to control the dead below level 30. Rune that sucks blood. A cosmic device. Imitation. When used, the life force of creatures below level 10 is absorbed, and one's own health is restored. Approaching Bai Chi, the princess apologized to him and then thanked him, saying that she was now in his debt. But Bai Chi said that if he remembers correctly, then Mina already owes him twice, but they will sort it out later. After thinking about the plot, Bai Chi noticed that in general everything was the same, but there were also differences. Maybe it's because he's reborn? We need to sort this out as soon as possible. Having surrounded Bai Chi, the guards began to question him about everything. Gray couldn't believe that the guy had changed so much in such a short time. Dagu said that this was his whole nature, and then thanked Bai Chi for saving him. House apologized to the guy for being hostile towards him, since in fact, Bai Chi is a true hero. At this time, the notice revealed that the reputation of the princess and her retinue had been increased. Bai Chi immediately thought of the reward, but while the reputation is high, more information needs to be collected. Then Bai Chi said that he is not a hero, but simply a reincarnated one that everyone wants to get rid of, and apparently they don't really care about him either. But Princess Mina suddenly called the guy special. Next to him, they are really in danger, but it seems that they have a close connection with the reincarnated, but besides them, there was someone else helping the guy. Looking at the princess in surprise, Bai Chi asked if this assistant was another strong reincarnate. He immediately approached the princess and asked to tell her more about him. Since he has just been reborn, I want to know more information. But the princess, thoughtful, turned around and said that it was better for them not to stay here for long, so it was better to talk along the way. As they left, the boys rejoiced that they were finally safe. But even though the boss is killed, there are still plenty of monsters around, so you can't relax. But then Princess Mina began her story by saying that in order to learn more, you need to start with a description of the reborn in general. Reborn are those who died and came back to life for unknown reasons. They usually have unique abilities. They first appeared after the War of the Fallen Star. They think differently than ordinary people, but most of them are cruel. They break the rules and go it alone. Initially, they were not paid much attention to until an ancient prophecy came down. The overall meaning of the prophecy was that the world would collapse and only a few would be able to restore and unite it. Each country considered the reincarnates to be heretics and refused to accept that power would be stolen by some single individual. But the reincarnated one who helped them is not like that, but strong and very noble. Turning to Bai Qi, Princess Mina said that the reincarnated one was very similar to the guy, which could not help but make him tense. The princess continued by saying that meeting both of them was luck. Although it is not fate that is rather depressing, the fate of those reincarnated will be even sadder due to worldwide hatred, so it is even difficult to imagine. A moment later, the girl turned around sharply and threw a blade at Bai Qi, saying that it was a gift for him. The guy deftly and confidently caught the weapon, which turned out to be a dagger given to the reincarnated one whom the princess met first. It was called the clouded gaze of the observer, and its ability was that no one was able to contemplate the true appearance of the dark guard. It can hide the owner's true identity. Looking at the dagger in surprise, Bai Qi was surprised by its effect, realizing that he had never seen anything like it before. The princess said that this dagger could hide the identity and reduce the threat, and with it, Bai Qi would be able to find the first reincarnated. In any case, the guy needs this weapon more. House was surprised how the princess could give away such a cool item. After all, her identity would now be revealed, which would put her in danger, but Mina replied that she had thought about her decision well, so there was no point in objecting. Bai Qi thought that this gift gave him an increased reputation. This dagger will really be useful to him because it will hide him from high-level reincarnates. Therefore, the guy thanked the princess and accepted the gift. But Bai Qi also knew that Mina's destiny was not to be a queen. As the last representative of the Star Kingdom, Princess Mina had to live as a member of the royal family. However, a catastrophe occurred when the crystal was broken into 8 fragments, causing the world to undergo great upheaval. Although there were no living creatures on the ship of the deep space expedition, unknown genes transferred to the ship led to mutations, and the apocalypse began in the world. In order to protect the world, the Star Kingdom united under the leadership of 8 Laurels to engage in mortal combat with an army of mutants, a war known as the War of the First Fallen Star. Although they managed to destroy most of the mutant army, the Star Kingdom became depleted of its resources, leading to its fall. So, 8 rulers declared independence, and each took a fragment of the Peace Stone. Even though these events happened 100 years ago, Princess Mina is still considered an eyesore. The more pressure was put on her, the stronger she became in the path of restoring the kingdom. Gray said that there are corpses of crazy monsters everywhere, which Bai Qi killed along the way. This delighted Gray, who was glad that the boy was not their enemy. Then the voice of Dagu was heard, who pointed to the light at the end of the cave, saying that there was a way out, and added with regret that he did not die again. Princess Mina immediately ran forward, telling everyone to quickly follow her as they were almost out. The bright sunlight was unusual for the eye, so I had to cover my face with my hands. But when they went outside, the friends had a beautiful view of the mountains and forest, in the distance of which a city could be seen, illuminated by the rays of the sunset. Spreading her arms in pleasure, the princess was glad that they had finally seen the sunlight. The wind blowing here gave an incredible feeling of freedom. Satisfied, Gray said that finally they don't have to look into the darkness and breathe in the smell of a corpse. Fang Ji added that they were finally free, and even Dagu was now glad that he was alive. Turning to her retinue, the princess addressed Bai Qi, saying that she once again expressed her gratitude, but the guy replied that it was nothing, and the dagger that was given to him was quite enough. Next, Bai Qi decided to ask where they were all heading next. Although he knew their plans, it was better to ask just in case and make sure nothing had changed. The princess replied that they had one more thing to do. When the guy asked what the matter was, Gray awkwardly replied that it was just important, clearly not wanting to go into details. But Fang Ji told his friend not to fuss, since Bai Qi saved them, and now they have nothing to hide. The princess confirmed that Fang Ji was right, but said that she was simply embarrassed to talk about it. But she still said that they took mercenaries with them, but they betrayed them, leaving them with nothing. They also stole something important from her that she must return. Bai Qi knew that this was a star core. This necklace, made from the core of a peace crystal, is a symbol of the royal family. It is one of the most valuable objects in the world. Princess Mina suddenly said sadly that everything was to blame for her weakness and naivety, because she blindly believed in the fairy tales of the mercenaries. Here Fang Ji, angrily hitting a large boulder, said that it was not the princess, but that they were too weak to protect her. Gray sadly added that their weakness was only part of the problem, since they did not notice how these guys disguised themselves. Dagu confirmed these words and said that even he did not smell any strange smell, so now it will be difficult to find them. But Princess Mina said that she had to find them and would get them even from the ends of the world. Then the voice of Bai Qi was heard, who replied that there was no need to go that far since he knew where the robbers were. And then he asked whether the guys, who were shocked by this statement, believed him. Fang Ji immediately attacked Bai Qi, asking how he knew this, but Gray took everything positively, saying that this was great news because it was very important for them. Dagu doubted that Bai Qi's words were true. The princess listened to her retinue, who reasoned about the words of the reborn and silently reflected. Achi turned to her, saying that he was not joking, and then asking if he had ever lied to her. Then Fang Ji realized that this was true, because even though they had only recently known each other, Bai Qi had never lied to them. Gray agreed and also believed in the guy's words. Dagu did the same. Suddenly the princess said that she was sorry that they still doubted Bai Qi, but hearing such news is always a strange feeling, as if a large stone that presses on the chest is easily removed. After all, Mina herself was prepared for the worst. Bai Qi told her not to worry about it, because he was almost sure of the whereabouts of the group of mercenaries who did this to her. Walking up to the princess and placing his hands on her shoulders, Bai Qi told her to just follow him from now on. Shy, Princess Mina agreed, saying that she would do so. Ji entered the conversation, saying that let Bai Qi say what he wants, but just don't be familiar with the princess. But Gray said that since Mina herself didn't say anything, then everything was fine. At this time, actions took place in the location of the burnt jungle for levels 10-20. Perennial fires seep through this jungle, but they maintain a relatively balanced ecosystem rather than destroying all life. And if someone doesn't like the cold and damp north, then the warm jungle will definitely become one of the favorite places to settle, unless, of course, fire spiders bite. Or they won't be eaten by the monsters that infest this location, because it is one of the most dangerous. There are many different monsters with sharp fangs, from which the blood does not have time to wash off. This jungle is no place for humans. It's hot as hell, but the iguana fried by the travelers turned out to be damn tasty. This was a justice-packed mercenary camp. Their number reached 20 or 30, and they were all level 20-30. The voices said that this heat was nothing compared to what they received. Moreover, thanks to this stupid princess for being so gullible and revealing her true nature so easily. One of the mercenaries, the warrior Mesher, said that he did not understand why he was still here. A mercenary swordsman named Kura replied that the boss had other plans. And then the deputy commander, Yuri, a human magician, angrily asked the boss, how long should they hang around there? The leader of the justice-packed level 30 mercenaries named Hades appeared behind them, looking questioningly at something in his hands. He looked at the stolen necklace again. Weed has been doing this ever since he got him. The mercenaries chatted, trying to find out what kind of necklace it was. Hades said that he stayed in this place for a couple of days because he was simply worried about not killing the princess and her retinue, worrying that they had escaped. Mesher told the boss that the girl could not have survived in the cave. Kura was sure that this was impossible, and Yuri said that Mina could have become a hero if she had refused her boss's offer to join them. How can you be so naive? At that moment, the disarmed and bound princess spoke to the justice-packed mercenaries that they could not be so inhuman because she trusted them so much. Why then did they betray her? But Hades only mocked her, saying that for them, there is no contradiction between the concepts of dishonesty and trust. It all depends on what they get in return. As for betrayal, they do not betray the princess, but help her. Approaching Mina, Hades said that with their help, she would spend less time saving her country. She only needed to give him the necklace and become his woman. But Mina flatly refused, saying that it would be better if he killed her. Smiling slyly, Hades said that Mina is a stupid woman if she made such a choice, and if she does not value her life, then let her better think about the lives of her companions. And although the retinue captured by the mercenaries is, in Hades' opinion, a bunch of losers, their devotion is still worthy of praise. Will she really stand and watch them die? The princess, with doubts plaguing her conscience, lowered her head, trying to make a difficult choice, but she could not sacrifice herself and her necklace. Then Hades said that stupid people have no right to live in this world, not to mention an incompetent queen whose abilities do not match her ambitions. One more night, and the mercenaries will visit the nearest village in Ankara. Mesher joyfully asked if they would finally leave this hole. He was so happy that his blood boiled. A frightened girl sat next to him. A moment later, Mesher stood up, threw the girl screaming for help over his shoulder and left, saying that he had already eaten, so it was time to flex his muscles. Yuri laughed, saying that his friend had a lot of energy. Next, Yuri turned to the boss, asking what he was going to do with this necklace. It must be worth a fortune, so he can't just keep it, so the best option is to sell it in the nearest country. Sticking his sword into a harmless furry monster running past, Hades said that who would have thought that they would earn so much money on a random escort assignment. Therefore, they should get maximum profit from this. Hades was thinking about trading with countries, but the closest one to them is the Duchy of Eileen, and this country is full of poor people, and instead of selling to them, they will sell directly to the Earls of Hades, who have much more money. But Hades had heard that there was a little war going on between Hydes and Wambach over the border, and they wouldn't have time to see who they were when it came to selling goods. The county of Hydes, with its lion-headed coat of arms, was a class of counts, knights, and commoners, rich in mountains and mines, as well as excellent blacksmiths and a strong army. The Duchy of Eileen, with its rose coat of arms, was a class of queens, nobles, commoners, rich in farmland and flower gardens, and excellent artists and writers. Wambach County, with a coat of arms with a bear claw and an axe, was rank, count, knight, commoner characteristics, marked with a coat of arms with a bear claw and an axe, dense forests and hunting grounds, excellent hunters and carpenters. Hades then added that they were underestimating the impact of this necklace. The essence of war is profit, and this jewel, according to rumors, can change the world. The total benefit from all wars is less than 1/10 of the cost of this jewel. Yuri was surprised that the jewelry was so expensive, so he offered to keep it and use its power to found his country. Hades said that he thought about it, but after studying it for the past few days in his hand, it is just an ordinary gem, and Hades cannot feel his power. Rising, Hades told Yuri that if you want to live a long life, it is better not to crave power that you cannot control. After all, they are not like the bitter pay cult, who use their flesh and blood in exchange for power. In their limited life, the most important thing is to earn more money and live happily. Yuri agreed with the boss and asked how he knew these secrets. Hades replied that this was no longer Yuri's business, and said to tell the people to prepare for tomorrow, because tomorrow they were going to the village of Ankara. Yuri accepted the order. At this time, looking from the bushes at the mercenaries through the corpses of the patrolmen, the retinue could not believe that these fools were still alive. If it weren't for Bai Qi's abilities, the entire camp would have known that they had survived. The princess standing in front asked how they could return the necklace if there were so many more mercenaries than them. Fangji said that in this situation, fearlessness is a death sentence. Then Dagu suggested distracting them so that the rest would attack the captain, and Gray asked how the cat was going to do it. In his opinion, it is better to wait until late at night. Then the voice of Bai Qi was heard, who said that they cannot wait for the night, since they have 3 hours no more, because soon they will find the corpses of the patrolmen and the entire camp will rise in alarm. The mercenary leader is very careful. The princess said this guy is a tough nut to crack. He is not only a good actor, but also very considerate, so you will have to give up and look for another opportunity. But Bai Chi said that they have a chance. The guards immediately became interested in the guy's thoughts and asked him to voice them. It was basically hard to believe, and it was not clear what was going on in his head. Bai Qi said that their main disadvantage is their numbers, but he has something to compensate for this. Deep in the jungle, there is a nest of red fire spiders. Although they are only level 10-20, they are very dangerous. Qi's plan is as follows. First, the guards go to the nest and carefully lure out as many monsters as possible. Then, they will bring them to the mercenary camp, and they will simply pit them against each other. But even if there are a lot of ordinary monsters, it won't be difficult to kill them, because their level is not that high. Therefore, the monsters are only here to take you by surprise. Therefore, the main key to the success of the plan depends on whether Bai Qi can lure the spider boss. And you need to lure the level 30 red flame widow spider to the mercenary camp. Bai Qi's proposal surprised everyone, since he was planning to do it alone. Fang Ji appreciated Bai Qi's plan, but did not believe that it could be implemented, because they would not be able to leave the battle calmly, and the only ones who could cast invisibility spells were the princess and their cat. Princess Mina also added that her invisibility spell is single, not group, which means that when she and Xiao Miao become invisible, the monsters will attack Fang Ji and Gray, and this is very dangerous. Fang Ji said not to worry about him, because if it helps to return the necklace, then this danger is nothing, and if he dies, then Dagu must take care of the princess. Dagu wanted to fight and rush at the spiders with joy. Bai Qi, walking first with a proud stance, told no one to worry, because if everyone followed his plan, then no one would die. Qi also gave his comrades several copies of different items, namely water from the River of Shadows, which gives the powers of invisibility, the Whisper of the Gods, which allows you to freely communicate within a radius of 1,000 meters, and a freezing grenade, to launch a chain of freezing explosions. The guards were surprised by so many rare items. Gray was most surprised by the deep space item, and even gives one for everyone, because their cost is very high, and Dagu compared Bai Qi to the illegitimate son of a king from such a thing. Bai Qi responded that it doesn't matter where he got them from. The main thing is that the plan will go smoothly with them, but this time there will barely be enough deep space items. He will have to accumulate more account unlock points. The princess admitted that even the current king of the 8 kingdoms would not be able to give away so many deep space items so easily, because the primordial items are rare and intended only for the royal family. A copy will never be better than the original. And in the modern world, even religious movements have appeared that worship objects of deep space, including many aristocrats. They turned the results of their research into military power and sold it to the highest bidder, and their research results contributed to the technological progress of the human world. On the black market, items from deep space are in great demand among the rich and can be extremely expensive, which means they sold such things on the black market to pay for the services of mercenaries, but lost all the money and the ancestral necklace. The princess was surprised by not understanding how Bai Qi knew about this, and he simply said that he guessed, although in fact, he knows everything about her. Then he turned to her and with a smile on his face told her not to worry, because they would return everything back. The princess awkwardly thanked Bai Qi, blushing as she thought that his words always gave her confidence. At this time, the main quest was updated, in which you need to help Princess Mina return the Heart of the Star necklace. Bai Qi thought that he had already gotten what he wanted, but he turned to the system, which told about ways to increase rewards, namely, complete tasks, a chain of tasks, a special task, a hidden task, or kill a reincarnated one, or accumulate soul points. As he continued to think about it, he realized that it would be too difficult to obtain them, so after helping Mina get the necklace back, he would need to focus on unlocking the account. Next, Bai Qi told everyone to get ready. There is a spider monster's lair ahead of them, so they need to keep in touch with him and stick to the plan, which everyone agreed with. The nest of the red fire spider was covered in cobwebs and was large in size. There were many eggs of different sizes, and the eggs themselves had a fiery color in all its shades. The first opponents have already approached the group. just hatched fire spiders and cubs of a red fire spider of the 5th levels. Fang Ji very simply and effortlessly crushed one of them with his foot in iron armor, which was the size of the spider itself. He also said that this baby is an excellent stress reliever. It crunches so well. Gray agreed with this and suggested that the princess try it, because it immediately removes all the accumulated stress. And the princess angrily forced them to stop having fun and hurry up, because according to Bai Chi's plan, they must destroy enough eggs to provoke the boss. Fang Ji listened to Princess Ming and began to destroy the eggs, but still didn't understand how this would help and whether Bai Chi could do everything himself, and Gray replied that they should trust Bai Chi, because they still don't have a better plan, and Doug just destroyed the eggs. Adult red fire spiders of about 18 levels had already appeared and were very aggressive, which means everything worked out and Bai Chi was right. The team began to rapidly retreat, and according to the plan, they would have to use the items when they were near the mercenary camp. The spider boss woke up, feeling that his children were in trouble. He was filled with anger from this, and his look revealed that he was already preparing to destroy everyone in his path. The boss was called the Red Flame Widow. The level corresponded to the 30th, and on the back there were also eggs that were still very small. Bai Chi, approaching the Red Flame Widow, asked the boss that he had already felt that his eggs had been destroyed, which meant that the princess and the others had completed the first step of their plan. He stood in a stance as if before a serious fight and understood that now it was his turn to take the next step. The Red Flame Widow saw the impudent man and struck hard at the place where Bai Chi had just stood, and then, with a bloodthirsty look, she asked how he dared to come to her and ask for something other than death. Walking away with a smile on his face, Bai Chi didn't understand what he was asking for, because he didn't say anything like that. In any case, he must defeat the boss and struck him on the paw with the spiked hilt of his sword, and she was stunned by his speed and confidence. The Widow of the Red Flame transformed into a beautiful woman with red hair, wrapped in a web and hanging in the air with it, and turned to Bai Chi that he was not an ordinary person. She further said that she likes strong males, and since her eggs were destroyed, she invited Bai Chi to stay with her and have many children together, but he replied that he did not want to be eaten in a euphoric hallucination. And then, cutting off the girl's head with a powerful blow of the sword, he added that he was too good for her to eat. From the headless body of the girl, an explosion of cobwebs scattered in different directions with a loud sound. She again found herself in the form of a huge spider and was releasing poison from herself, and said that Bai Chi was a fool because he would die in any case, and she simply suggested how he wanted to die. Bai Chi quickly began to run away while dodging poisonous attacks, and realized that the boss's hatred scale was already full. As he continued running, he emphasized more and more that his goal was not a boss fight. Bai Chi continued walking, realizing that the key to victory was wisi he could salute of his territory. He stopped and could not understand where the boss was now, and he was on top, right above him. And the Widow of the Red Flame threw a huge web, like a trap, onto the head of the guy who never expected it. Bai Chi reflected that in the original game, the bosses had a strong sense of attachment and never left their territory. At that moment, a solid web fell on the guy, but he was lucky and was not hit. The indignant boss did not understand why the guy was running away. Did he really understand how strong she was and became a coward? And Bai Chi, standing on his feet from the shockwave, understood that he had brought the boss to the border of his territory, and would it really be the same as in the game? The Widow of the Red Flame, turning around and leaving, said that this was no fun, and she was not interested in cowardly males at all. Bai Chi realized that he needed to try to seduce her, and with a cheerful expression on his face, he said that his leader ordered him to deprive her of silk for their equipment, and they were also now near a camp with 30 strong men. The boss had a presentiment of something pleasant for himself from the surprise that there were as many as 30 strong males nearby. The Red Flame Widow began to run after Bai Chi in complete delight because she would have many children, and Bai Chi happily thought that everything was ready and how good it was that the world corresponded to its original setting. As Bai Chi continued to lead the boss into the camp, He thought that he could rely on his knowledge of the game and his brain, and the first thing he needed to do was get his hands on a new account, and he knew how to do it. A whole flock of level 20 red fire spiders was chasing forward, growling angrily, guarding their territory. The heroes ran in front of them, praising the genius of Bai Qi. Gray told everyone not to get distracted as they were already close to the camp, and the princess added that they must use objects to divide the crowd of spiders into 4 parts. The key to success is to surround the mercenary camp on 4 sides so that they have nowhere to run. This is an incredibly difficult matter, but with the help of Bai Qi, it can be achieved. But they must work together and not waste the items received from Bai Qi. And then, a moment later, Princess Mina shouted the command to disperse, and they all ran in different directions, each taking a crowd of spiders with them. At this time, the mercenaries discovered the corpses of their patrolmen, saying that they found them when they came for their shift, who dared to attack their people. Intelligence found nothing, so maybe some wild animal did it? But, after examining the corpses and wounds, Hades said that it was not a beast, but someone pierced their necks with a sharp dagger. Someone from the party suggested that it was the princess and her minions who were actually able to survive. Hades realized that this was done by someone with the class of weapons and skills of an assassin, and there was no one like that in this woman's group. But if it's not them, then who? Then one of the mercenaries appeared behind Hades and told him that monsters had invaded their camp. The commander turned around in shock and said angrily that this woman had really escaped, but this is simply impossible. He couldn't understand what was happening. At this time, a fierce fight against monsters was going on in the mercenary camp. There were too many spiders to kill. They had nowhere to run because the monsters were everywhere and surrounded the camp from all sides. A huge spider hovered over one of the wounded mercenaries, who screamed for help and that he did not want to die. But he could no longer be saved as the monster grabbed him with its paws and bit him on the head. Mesher, attacking the monster, complained that he didn't even have time to button his pants, and he was already attacked. And Kura added in surprise that, according to the scouts, the monster's nest is far from here. Then why would they attack them? Yuri, fighting off another attack, said that no one knew anything, and then turned to the boss, saying that he should return quickly, since they would not be able to hold back such a huge number of monsters for long. Then Hades appeared behind the mercenaries, killing the monster with one blow. All his subordinates immediately screamed in delight, assuming that if the boss had returned, then they were saved. Yuri immediately asked the boss to lead them in the fight against these terrible spiders, so they will definitely be able to win. But then the boss realized that the princess was not so simple. She lured the spiders to the camp, and then he said that they had no chance, so he gave the order to grab all the money and run. Then Kura asked in surprise what would happen to the rest of the mercenaries. Hades turned angrily on Kura, saying that mercenaries should hold the sword as long as they are paid, and as long as there is money, there will be plenty of it. 3 mercenaries rushed after the boss, accepting his command, and although it was quite cold-blooded, it was true. As long as they have money, they will find a way out. But suddenly, a huge red flame widow, who was the boss of this place, appeared on their way. In one motion, she turned out all the carts with gold under the surprised and disappointed looks of the mercenaries who did not want to lose their gold. The evil widow, looking at the mercenaries, said that the boy was right, and there really are a lot of strong men here, and now she will be able to lay eggs again. Having already grabbed several mercenaries and entangled them in its strong web, the monster attacked the rest, saying that they would all soon become its food. The attack fell on the boss, but Kura pushed his commander away, thereby saving him by getting hit. Trying to get into Hades, the widow said that this was the same male that the boy told her about, and it was for him that she pulled the threads out of her cocoon. But when she took the initiative, all he did was run away. Hades, out of breath, recognized Bai Qi. But why did he do this to them? Is he really one of the princess's henchmen? But if the princess knew such a powerful person, she would not have turned to them for help. Then someone's hand grabbed the boss's leg, clearly asking for help. It was Yuri, whose life was in the balance, and he asked the base for help, begging him to help him, since he did not want to die. Hades silently lifted his subordinate, the lights of hope sparkling in his eyes. The guy wanted to say thank you that the boss didn't leave him. But the next second, Hades threw the shocked and frightened Yuri directly towards the huge spider to make a diversionary maneuver. The spider immediately devoured the screaming mercenary, but was hungry for more loot. Hades knew that he could not fight without knowing what Bai Chi was up to, so he had better run away. Using the crowd as cover, he would be able to escape alone. But it's just a pity that his money was lost. He thought about this while all his subordinates, seeing their boss, saw in him hope for salvation, but Hades himself thought only about escape. A couple of minutes later, Hades was already running in the forest, moving further and further from the battlefield. He cursed a lot because he worked hard to create his team, and now it is destroyed. But at least he still had the most important thing, the necklace. And while he has it, he has a chance to start all over again. Then, among some burning branches in the middle of the forest, Hades noticed a familiar silhouette. Then I recognized him as the princess who is really behind all this, and it's amazing that she was actually able to survive, but this time he won't leave her a chance. Having attacked the girl, Hades, deciding to kill her, swung his sword and wanted to cut her in half, but the silhouette seemed to disappear into thin air. Stopping, Hades realized that it was deep space technology that created holograms. But how can this be, and where did this woman get such a first-class item? Then another silhouette appeared behind Hades, putting a knife to his throat, saying that not everything was as simple as he thought. Hades immediately turned around and struck at the enemy, angrily asking who he was, but the guy opposite him jumped aside. Seeing the dagger in the guy's hands, Hades found out whose it was, and that it was the same boy. So it was he who arranged everything, and it was all because of the necklace. Laughing, Hades said that he was too careful and did not know that a level 10 assassin was behind everything. But we must admit that his ruse was mostly successful, but he made a mistake at the very end, attacking the mercenary openly. Emboldened, Hades flew at Bai Chi, asking if he really thought he could handle him alone. But Bai Chi dodged several of Hades' blows at once, moving deftly and quickly to dodge. Hades was surprised, because this agility and speed are not similar to the skills and abilities of a person of the 10th level. Turning around, Bai Chi turned to the mercenary saying, "What if this plan was specifically designed to end up with Hades alone?" And then he suggested simply fighting the mercenary to see who would be stronger in the end. Hades asked why he didn't hit him back right away. Bai Chi replied that the passive trait of the Hades class was immunity to backstabbing, so he would be stunned and at a disadvantage if he went for it. Hades, preparing to attack, said that this was very interesting, since a guy of such a low level knew so much. However, he overestimated this puppeteer, since he himself took on this. Rushing towards Bai Chi, Hades added that he should let him die a terrible death, and all this in order to compensate for the regret he feels. But Bai Chi dodged the blows, angering Hades, because if he knows so much, he must understand that elemental ranger, stealth's sworn enemy slaver. But the guy knew that this was true, because stealth and attacks in the back stealth slaver can't match elemental speed ranger. Once again attacking Bai Chi, Hades said that this duel was doomed from the very beginning of its appearance. However, the limitations of their profession can be offset by combat experience. So it's not a matter of winning or losing, but there is something really important. And these are skills that Bai Chi was clearly not inferior in, and was therefore able to strike Hades while dodging the attack. Turning around, Hades said that Bai Chi had more experience than they expected, but he was still able to fend off his attacks. But combat experience is meaningless when there is such a gap in levels. Bai Chi has a base level of 10 and an upper limit of 30. His skills are only at the 10th level, and Hades' skills are at the 30th elemental level ranger, elemental sacred hunting, which allows you to apply the elements of nature to yourself. Chi again. Hades said that he has some skills, but that's where they end, so he will kill Bai Chi first, and then the princess. But Bai Chi again deftly dodged Hades' blow only by tearing his red cape, which the guy found funny. He asked Hades if this was all he could do. The mercenary clearly underestimates him. If Bai Chi is brave enough to go one-on-one with a mercenary, then he must have a way to finish off Hades. The mercenary was amused by Bai Chi's words. He asked what the guy was going to do to get rid of him. Bai Chi picked up a Master of Strength item, a level 50 consumable item, which can increase Bai Chi's skills to level 50 for 3 minutes. It is the use of this item that will help the guy cope with the mercenary. Since skills are the key to victory, Bai Chi uses level 50 skills. Shadow Slayer skill. Hidden Slaver will cut a hole in space with a sharp blade, summoning shadow demons from the realm of shadows to help in the battle. Surprised and angry, Hades asked what kind of trick this was. The guy basically has a lot of strange and bizarre things, but after he kills Bai Chi, they will all belong to him. So the two strongest warriors met in a fierce battle. The force of their impact created a huge shockwave. The forces were so enormous that there was an explosion, inside which a battle ensued. Hades was thrown aside by the force of the blow, so the mercenary was very surprised and scared, not understanding how this was possible. Flying to the side, Hades thought that this is truly a terrible, oppressive feeling from a level 50 skill. But Hades was unable to fly far. While he was wondering where the guy got an item of such a level, many hands reached out for him. Looking around, Hades was surprised, and real fear became noticeable in his eyes. A huge force pinned Hades to the ground, giving him no chance to escape or retaliate. Towering over the defenseless Hades, Bai Chi mockingly asked him if he didn't want him to die a terrible death. The mercenary responded angrily by asking why the guy didn't use this powerful item if he had it from the very beginning. Outraged, Hades said that his opponent had been playing with him from the very beginning. First, he showed his weakness, and then he crushed him. He didn't do anything bad to him, then why did he do this to him, and who is this guy anyway? Then Bai Chi, blazing with his energy, replied that he recognized that Weed was a smart leader and a brave warrior, but he had chosen the wrong path. A repentant Hades admitted that what he really did was wrong, and he should have chosen something different from the very beginning. Handing the necklace to the guy, Hades said that he could take it, just let him spare him. But Bai Chi replied that although he liked Hades better this way, he wanted not only the necklace, but also his life, and then attacked the mercenary. Bai Chi then began to rapidly strike the enemy with blow after blow, without inflicting mortal wounds. Huge clouds of dust rose from these actions, and a coughing Hades asked why Bai Chi didn't just kill him. There was pain and fear in Hades' eyes. He was almost out of life energy, and he asked again, how far does the guy want to go before killing him? Picking up the fallen necklace, Bai Chi said that if Hades were his enemy, he would no longer be alive, but he was sparing Hades' life because of a deal he had made with someone. The system showed that the quest was completed, and the player Bai Chi received 8,000 soul points, and the points unlocked the account. Bai Chi said that he had fulfilled his part of the deal, and now it was the other person's turn, and then threw the necklace to the side. He was caught by the princess standing next to him. Bai Chi told her that if she had questions, it would be better to ask them quickly, as the boss would appear soon. Mina replied that she understood Bai Chi. Then she turned to Hades lying in front of her, saying that instead of killing them, he left them to die in the cave, and now Mina wanted to know what Hades' intentions really were. Helpless Hades replied that he did not understand what the princess expected from him, that he will repent and apologize. It's funny because he wanted to make their deaths more painful, but now he regrets not killing them, but that's his fate. Bai Chi thought about how Hades still talks about fate at the end of his life, but fate is more than that. Bai Chi chose his own interests over the fate of others and let no one blame him. The world is cruel. But Hades suddenly began to laugh, saying that the princess's fate is much worse than his fate because she is fighting against the whole world. But then Fang Ji appeared and, attacking Hades, ordered him to shut up. And then, swinging his sword, the guard wanted to cut off the mercenary's head and kill him, but he suddenly moved from his place and dodged the blow. But this happened thanks to the web that pulled him towards itself. Hades was captured by the same widow of the red flame, who said that she would take this man for herself. Laughing like a madman, Hades, who was increasingly wrapped in cobwebs, said that he would rather become the boss's food than die at their hands, and no one has a chance to kill him. They would rather die altogether. But no one listened to the words of Hades, who had gone crazy, as the huge red flame widow stood opposite Bai Chi and said that she had finally found him.